Most athletes are superstitious in their own way, and hockey players are no exception. Since athletic competition relies heavily on performance, it naturally can put a lot of mental pressure on players to be as perfect as humanly possible. Therefore, as they seek out some relief as a pseudo sense of control, they develop their own rituals as a way to decrease mental stressors. And over the years, as you'd expect, players and teams alike have come up with some rather interesting ones. In this video, we're going to go over some of the craziest rituals in NHL history to come about. And with that, here are 3 of the craziest superstitions ever from the NHL. There's a lot about Glenn Hall that's strikingly different from the typical goalie today. For one, the netminder stood at under 6 feet tall at 5'11". In today's game, the average height for a goalie is 6 foot 2 inches. Secondly, due to the time period in which Hall played, he wasn't protected as much by equipment, with no mask and significantly smaller pads. Hall helped usher in the butterfly style of goaltending along with Tony Esposito. But most importantly in this context, Hall had a very unique way of getting into game form. According to an article which I'll link down below, the 3-time Vezina winner began the puke fest while playing junior hockey. I think my last year of junior, I did a couple of things I felt if I wasn't wired, I wasn't playing well, the netminder recalled. Throughout his 906 NHL games played, the routine was a mainstay. Whether or not it had anything to do with his consecutive game record of 502 games played has yet to be seen. While he was playing for the St. Louis Blues, Bob Plager recalls hearing his former teammate getting prepared for game action. We'd hear him go in the bathroom, and that's how we knew he was ready to go, he says. While other rituals may be harder to break down, according to Psych Central, vomiting doesn't essentially relieve anxiety on its own. However, the feeling that one has control over their own bodily functions can. Regardless, whether it can be false sense of control or not, Hall, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame, did manage to go down as one of the best goalies of all time. Before we proceed with the video, I'd like to talk to you all about Vessi. They're a company that's based in Vancouver that's decided they're going to try and help those of us out there that hate that wet sock feeling. They even thought about me, over here in BFE WV, who would have thought? They specifically sent me the Courtside Classic. Whether you're out on the boat or cruising down city streets, this is the perfect summer shoe. For me, the break in my usual workday is accompanied with a walk, so I decided to put my new shoes to the test. Throughout my walk, I fell in love with the comfort of the shoe, mainly due to the cloud foam insoles. They're perfect for the work setting as well because while they're casual, they're still very sleek and classy. Make the most of city life with vintage style comfort sneakers. The Courtside Classic. Discover more fantastic styles at vessi.com/AlyssaHope. Get your pair today and get an automatic 15% off your first purchase at checkout. And be ready to stay cool and dry. And now, back to the video. Okay, now in case you thought the whole puking thing wasn't gross enough, well, the New York Islanders took things a step further, back in the mid-70s. Decades ago, before we progressed as a species, we were still condoning the notion that elephants being forced to perform all their lives was okay. Therefore, the Barnum and Bailey circus still brought with it tons of different animals strictly for entertainment purposes. And it was during the summer of '75 that the magic brought on by the least likely source of pure shit propelled the Islanders much further than expected. More on that later. At the time, the Brooklyn-based team was a young one that had been formed a few years prior. Therefore, their postseason appearance against the New York Rangers was the team's playoff debut. The Isles shared Madison Square Garden as their venue for the series. And since this was a preliminary round, it's important to mention that it only required 3 wins to advance. It just so happened that the Islanders were able to secure the W, and from there went on to face the Pittsburgh Penguins. However, the series didn't start off so hot for the Islanders as they lost first 3 games in the series. In order to get some momentum, the team turned to some rather unconventional means. As the team searched for a commonality surrounding their success previously, they realized that Due to the circus being at MSG, there was something that could have been contributing. You guessed it. It was indeed the elephant shit that they believed was the driver. So, in result, there was a lucky person that was recruited to go retrieve some of the fecal goodness.
Oh, come on, that's just sick.
From the cages. I just would love to know what was going through that person's head. Like, let's go grab some elephant dung, because why not? Anyways, as the story goes, the Islanders were able to prevail as they were able to advance to the semi-finals after beating the Penguins in 7 games. This was the first time that a team came back from a 0-3 deficit since the Toronto Maple Leafs defeated the Detroit Red Wings in the Stanley Cup Finals of 1942. Maybe that's what the Edmonton Oilers needed against the Florida Panthers? But how would you even order something like that? Okay, enough. Now we're going to move on to even bigger and crazier things. Superstitions and Sidney Crosby just go together, don't they? From eating the same thing before every game to taking a particular route pre-game to avoid the away dressing room, Sid has been the king of superstitious behavior. As we were privileged to get a glimpse into the quirkiness years ago in an HBO documentary. However, former Penguin Joe Vitale got to witness it firsthand as a teammate of Sid's for 3 seasons. And it was during that time that Pittsburgh was able to string together an impressive winning streak of 15 games. It just so happened that before the success really began to mount throughout the 2012-13 season, one unlikely factor contributed to it: Florence and the Machine. Yes, a music group that's been around for over a decade now. And while I'm a fan of their music, Crosby was an even bigger fan during that time. It just so happened that Vitale was the team DJ that got everyone into the appropriate pre-game mood by playing some tunes. And the forward chose to put the band's song, "The Dog Days Are Over," on his playlist. As Vitale played the ballad, he quickly fell in love with the beat, as did Crosby. Vitale recalled that it reminded him of his time overseas in Italy that he spent in the previous off-season. According to the article that I'll link below, it was after the team went on to win the upcoming game and Sid notched a pair of assists that he asked Vitale to play the song again prior to the next game. And if you thought that was weird, well, Sid says, hold my beer. Because besides just playing the song for his teammate, Vitale also had to do something else. Vitale also had to recall his story over again, and had to pretend like he hadn't told Sid prior to. While this may sound a little insane, it did possibly contribute to the team almost tying the previous win streak record of 17 games. If you enjoyed this video, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my channel for more NHL themed content. And for those who are already consuming my content on the regular, you can support me by joining my Patreon. With plans that start at just $1 a month, you'll be among the first to see every new video topic and to see snippets of each video before it's uploaded here. You'll also be privileged to monthly shoutouts by me and able to see hidden channel analytics. Simply click the link below to get started and to get a welcome message by yours truly. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.